Tech for your lawn. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin, and joining us is Ali Sabti, founder and president of OtO, OTO. Thank you for joining us, Ali.
Thanks, Fred. Pleasure to be here.
Tell us about OtO. What is it?
Well, OtO, what we're doing at OtO is we're bringing the smart home outdoors. So it's a fresh way to look at, your yard care. So OtO is the first smart outdoor device that waters with accuracy and then puts down solutions that promotes growth or repels pests. So it's this device right behind me. It's a solar powered device that only requires a hose and a Wi-Fi connection. And through a smart app, you can define the different areas in your yard. You can define up to 10 zones. And then from within the app, decide the amount of water and the types of solutions you would put on there. So OtO is all about making the outdoors really, really simple. It's almost like the perfect yard in a box. And this started out of my own problem with my small yard that just a little bit outside of Toronto. So I bought a house working in engineering, and it was a smaller yard, and I had children early on when I got the house. So I was really busy and I didn't really have the time, and I started looking around at different solutions. And yard care's got a lot of different pieces. You've got the irrigation piece, so you got to make sure you get the right amount of water. Don't waste a lot of it, and at the right time. But then you also have to figure out, well, what solutions do I need? And then what solutions can I put down and when that could promote growth or repel pests? So I started working on this in my own garage, just trying to solve my own problem. And, I went and did everything from putting in my own in-ground system to going out and buying every sprinkler I could at Home Depot and Lowe's. And it became very clear that there's a really big white space here for smaller yards below 8,400 square feet, both on the irrigation and on the lawn care side. So if you think about lawn control or yard care from two separate categories, from the irrigation side, let's say, and if you've got a smaller yard, the type of irrigation that they would use for a smaller yard, say 8,400 square feet or smaller, is really no different than if you're doing a football field. It runs very large pipes underground, and then it has multiple sprayers that need to be overlapped. So that poses kind of a problem when you've got a smaller property, because the overhead cost for a team to come out and dig the ground is, again, no different if it's a smaller square footage area versus if it's quarter or half of an acre. So that was the first one really big opportunity we identified, is that we could make a smart device and then solve the irrigation problem for a lot of these urban homes, in big metropolitan cities that tend to have larger properties on smaller lots. So the way that you would deal with irrigation right now is you either spend a lot of money on an in-ground system, or you spend a lot of time, moving sprinklers around and just kind of jerry-rigging something in a DIY approach. On the yard care, it's the same thing. You either spend a lot of money and you outsource that to somebody who knows, and they'll come out on an ongoing basis, or you spend a lot of time caring for it yourself and going through the learning curve and doing that. So what OtO does is it brings the best of both worlds. It helps with the irrigation problem and it helps with the solution application, but it does it in a DIY approach and way that the common or the homeowner that's not very familiar with gardening or caring for outdoor spaces can just really get into. So it's the device, it's the accompanying app, and then there is a series of different solutions that you scan the QR code and then put them inside the device that identifies what the solution is, and then the device applies it on a set interval in small amounts to promote microbial activity in the soil. So you get more nitrogen uptake. So you can do a lot of things when you're putting small amounts of natural products on an ongoing basis. What we also did is we used this same concept of applying small amounts when we were looking at mosquito control. So when you look at mosquito control, especially when you're looking at it in terms of a natural product. The efficacy of these solutions isn't very long because they're natural, they degrade quite quickly. So what you're able to do with a system that can microdose small amounts on an ongoing basis is create kind of a shield around your property with different botanical oil scents that pushes away pests that you don't want in that area. So pretty exciting.
Interesting. So this is, if you step us through the setup here,
Right.
People order the device, the OtO,
Right.
and step us through how it's set up. And does this also
Right.
handle the day-to-day watering of the lawn?
Absolutely. So the easiest way is if you go on the website. I mean, a single device can shoot out 30 feet and it can rotate 360 degrees. So if you do the math, that's around 2,800 square feet. But that's if you're doing the entire kind of circular area that the device can do. And it can do any complex shape, 10 complex shapes, any shape you want from within the app. But let me walk you through the process. When you get your OtO device, I'll show you just right up here. You've got a solar panel at the top. This head is where the water comes out of, and then it swivels. This is where your hose goes in, and then you could mount this either on a fence or you could put it onto the ground. But when you get your device, you connect your hose, you connect it to Wi-Fi, and then from within the app, you define your different zones. And how you do that is OtO shoots out a single stream that you can move around. So you can rotate or you can increase the distance further or closer to you. And from the app, you map the outside perimeter of that zone. Okay, so then when you've mapped the outside perimeter using the water stream and the phone, that becomes defined as a zone, and you can pick the type of vegetation, the slope, the water quantities, and the types of solutions that will be applied to that zone. And you can have 10 of them. Once it's set up, you can either go with an automatic watering schedule, or you can set your own manual watering schedule, and it will follow that. And then if you do want to, promote growth or keep pests away, then we do have solutions that you can load in and put into the device, and then they'll take care of the application of that going forward.
How expensive is it for people to use this as opposed to many of the other solutions, the bags of fertilizer, et cetera? And
yeah, we price our solutions very similar to what you would pay if you were to buy that same solution at Home Depot. So there isn't really a big differentiator there. It depends on the size of your square footage, and this is what's really nice about the system. So it could range anywhere between $100 to $150 to fertilize throughout an entire season. And what we can really do with the device is you could really dial in the amount. So you don't need as much solution or as much bags of fertilizer that you would even need in the conventional approach. And there's two reasons for that. The first reason is traditional lawn care is all about feeding the nutrients, really about feeding the nitrogens and the phosphorus and the potassium. Our approach is we feed the plants, but then we also use molasses. And what molasses does is it promotes microbial activity in the soil. And then these microbes help take nutrients that are already available in the soil, and then the plant can then take it up. And then we can apply these in really small amounts in a quick release or a quick uptake solution to minimize the amount that over an entire season that you would need. So what you end up with, and we've got this on our website for cost comparisons, if you compare this to a traditional DIY and a sprinkler system, so if you were just to go out and get a regular sprinkler and you were going to go out and care for your yard, then you would have OtO be significantly cheaper, both when you factor in the time that you would have put in and how much reduced solutions you would use over the season.
And you're saying these are all natural products that you're using?
Right. So that was really important for me. Part of the reason I did this is because I wanted a way to care for my yard. I've got kids and I wanted them to play around. So all our solutions are pet and people safe. That's very important. but also through our testing, we saw that really the biggest drawback to natural solutions is that they need to be applied in small amounts frequently, particularly liquid natural fertilizers. They last about 2 weeks. But this is what they're using in organic farming. This is what actually works and promotes growth. Now, your average homeowner, that's too much of a burden to do, to go out there and do this. So, the homeowner is stuck between, they want to use a natural product, but it requires way more applications. And this is what we can do with the device, is we can supercharge natural powers to really have high efficacy, because we could apply them in small amounts frequently.
This is designed for lawns. Are you also looking at vegetable gardens, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do have customers now in California that are using it for that. One consideration is just the impact of the water. So you got to make sure, if it's seedlings or seeds or something like that, and you're 30 feet out. But absolutely, and we'll roll out more solutions and more features that are tailored to gardens. I mean, one of the things that we really want to push, I mean, lawns are great, that they look fantastic, but we also want to help people convert a small part of their lawn into a vegetable garden. And one of the things that, speaking with customers, they'll get into gardening and they'll do the work to set it up, and they'll get a lot of joy and gratification out of that. But keeping it is all about the consistency. And particularly when it comes to irrigation, because if you'd set up a vegetable garden, you probably don't have irrigation at that spot. You would need to run hoses, maybe drip lines, and that's a big barrier. So what a lot of customers getting into gardening, vegetable gardening, they'll just do it by hand, and that's okay. But you need consistency, or else those vegetables, are going to die, or fruits. So this is what OtO allows you to do. It partners with somebody that wants to do a little bit more in the yard, and it does the heavy lifting. So then they're out there, picking fruits, and then maybe, picking out a weed or two or something like that, not spending on a consistent basis time putting solution and water down.
Well, you mentioned weeds. Do you do weed control as well with the solution?
The best, I mean, our philosophy, no. Our best philosophy is that a healthy yard can keep weeds away. So what we do is we promote a really lush, thick yard that can outcompete weeds. That's the natural approach. Now, what we've seen is some customers go after the hybrid approach. So they'll care for their yard using OtO, but then if they do get a couple of weeds here or there, they'll either manually pick it up, or then they'll use some sort of solution just that one time to get a good start. But if you have a really thick yard, and the roots are really established, and you're mowing to the appropriate heights, you really shouldn't have weeds. Weeds is usually a sign of disease or something wrong.
And the OtO is designed to be stationary, or can you move it from one area of the yard to another?
It's stationary. The only time you would move it, if you are in a colder region, you'd bring it in during the winter months. So it would send you a warning before the winter months for you to bring it into the garage. But no, it's meant to be stationary. So you would get multiple devices to cover your area.
And this is connected to the internet?
It is, yeah. So it's Wi-Fi connected. When you first get the device, you establish that connection between the device and Wi-Fi, and then that's where it pulls its weather updates from. That's where it pulls all the commands that you put into your phone. Yes, it's Wi-Fi connected.
So it knows how much watering to do or not to do.
Yeah, so we have an intelligence mode that does a few things. The first is it prevents OtO from watering when the wind is really high or when it's raining. That's the first thing it does. But then it also looks at this parameter called evapotranspiration, which has a lot to do with humidity, wind speeds, the type of vegetation that you have. But it's basically a calculation that talks about how much moisture has left the soil, how much moisture has gone away. So then what we can do is we take that factor, we take how much it's rained, and then we top it up to achieve the amount of water that a plant would need. So Wi-Fi and having cloud connectivity allows you to do a lot of things on the conservation side.
So maybe you can tick off for us. What are some of the key advantages you feel you have over the competition, the alternatives that are out there?
I think the biggest one is convenience on many different sides. I think it's convenience of getting set up and then being able to get started and have the unit in 5-10 minutes. You can define your zones and have your solutions and then be ready for the whole season. That's a big one. Ongoing operating costs when it comes to the water savings, because you don't have to overlap the water savings because of the intelligence and the amount of work and not having to outsource your lawn care. There's significant savings there. So really it's the convenience of it, and then also the savings in the long run that you pick up.
Very interesting. For more information, where do people go?
Autolawn.com is the best place. That's OTOlawn.com. And then you could put your address in there and it will show you an overview of your house, and then you can move autos around, and then that's really the best place for you to get started. But we've got wonderful videos there, and also on our social at Autolawn, again, OTOLAWN on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn.
Again, it's OtOlawn, OTOlawn.com. Ali Sabti, thank you so much for taking the time with us.
Thank you, Fred. My pleasure.
Cooking with the power of the sun. Hi, I'm Fred Fishkin, here to tell you about the latest innovation from my friend Patrick Sherwin and his great team at GoSun Stove. The GoSun Fusion has arrived using the company's tried and true reflectors and a solar vacuum tube to get you cooking without the mess of charcoal, heavy propane tanks, or smoke. A really bright idea. And with an optional solar panel and battery storage and the ability to plug in at home or on the road, you really can use the GoSun Fusion to cook anytime and anywhere, day or night, rain or shine. I love what Patrick and his team are doing, and so will you. Want to learn more? Head to gosun.co to check out all of the company's products and innovations and use the code Techstination to save 10%. That's gosun.co.